Good morning. This is going to be one of those that's going to end up in the Orphaned electronics file. If you remember the build on the audio tester, I was originally gonna, I needed like a 6 oscilloscopes to monitor the audio output, and I thought I would use this, which is my Handtech automotive scope, which has 8 channels. And not even a week later, I find this thing on eBay. Wasn't cheap, but it's got 7 channels, and it's an Ampex 1210. Can't find a darn thing on it. Inside on the builder's boards it says view data, so I looked them up. Can't find a dang thing on it. So I'm going to show you what I've learned about this. Each one of these is individual scopes, and they are actually designed quite well. Most of what I've been able to determine was without a schematic. Now the cool thing about this is if one channel doesn't work, you just switch it with another, and then you can determine if the power supply part in the back is bad. What I ended up doing is determining that this one has a bad tube, which after looking around is unobtainable. So I'm going to show you. I have to calibrate this to make it worthwhile. The voltage settings on the knobs are 1 volt peak to peak. So I'm going to send my signal generator in here and calibrate this. I have to do it with it inside the case, so it's plugged in the power supply. Let me pull one of these out so you can actually see what the scope looks like. This little tab flips down and you have a bunch of adjustments. You can see that okay? Anyway, so you grab this and give a short tug, and the whole thing slides out. So this here is the horizontal side, the sweep side. This is the vertical side. And most of the adjustments are right on top. This is your horizontal trigger level. One of these two is the vertical height, and one, I believe it's this one, is the volts per division setting. And then down in the front, of course, you have the linear settings, the vertical position, horizontal position, intensity, and brightness. So I'll plug this back in, get my signal hooked up. Let me show you the back real quick. This is the view from the back. 7 channels. My best signal response has been on the middle channel, the A. I believe that stands for record, don't know. And you can do a separate trigger in. I'm not using that, so I haven't determined how that works, but there is a switch on the board that will say internal or external trigger. So let's get back to the front. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the cover off. Hope you guys can hear me, because I'll be over here adjusting. So the back pot here on the vertical side sets the vertical height. So you're going to set all these roughly at the center line. You can also adjust this somewhat at the front. Anyway, after thinking about this for a minute, I thought maybe I should have let this warm up a little more than I did. But I'm doing this just to show you guys, if anybody runs across one of these, how to do this. Okay, so now I need an input cord for the signal. I'll be right back. So over here we have my Field Tech, I think it's a 6800. I had a 6900, but I could not get the software to work. The reason I do this is because I'm old and my eyesight's getting bad, so now I can blow this sucker up on a 22-inch screen TV or monitor and set the channel 1 output for 1 kilohertz at 1 volt peak to peak. So now we'll go down here to channel 7. Hope you can see that okay. And obviously that's slightly over the amplitude I'm looking for. So I'm going to set this into the front control, and we'll dial that down. Sorry about the camera. Okay, back again. I've got the vertical position adjusted again, and I think it needs to go up just a hair. I'll get this in the adjustment pot, maybe. There we go. Okay, so counterclockwise on the pot increases the... Okay. So you can see that adjusting the gain does not move the top part. Also, I'm kind of looking at it at an angle. So we'll get in here. This is our vertical position. So we'll set the top peaks at the top gradient, and then adjust this down to the bottom gradient, counterclockwise. There we go. Now this is on the 1 volt scale, so that technically should be a 2 volt signal. So what I'm going to do, if I want 1 volt per division, I'm going to turn my Field Tech 6800 up to 2 volts peak to peak and set this for the same sine wave. I'm going to be using this for stereo, so there's going to be a lot of voltage input to this thing. Okay, so I've readjusted the front pot for 2 divisions at 1 volt per division, and our Field Tech is set at 2 volts peak to peak output. Now let's adjust the sweep here. The middle knob is the veneer. This is the time base. Now over here, if you pull this one out, switches it to DC. Now the veneer is your frequency adjustment. Alright, so I'm going to continue doing this on the other channels. Obviously the middle one does not work because the tube is bad. I've checked it already. It has good filaments, good voltage, and I've switched the tube between one channel and the other channel didn't work, so I know for sure it's the tube is bad. So let me show you what happens when the trigger voltage is not good. I'm going to go to channel 6 here. If you dial this down, it just cuts off usually. Alright, let's adjust most of these up. So I went to look to replace all these pots, and to get one that stands up with a sideways plastic trimmer in the middle is pretty hard. I believe Jameco might have them. I haven't been on their website in a while. Hey, that's looking good. Alright, get my sweep up where it should be. Okay, so I'm going to unplug this one. Let's see how this sweep does. Okay, so we have good sweep on all channels. That would have been much more helpful to have that when I adjusted the center. And it looks like number 4 is kind of cockeyed, or this is number 5. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, so another thing, this is channel 6. By adjusting the trigger so I have a sweep trace, this now is rolling and does not lock. So I had to get up here and back it off just a little so it holds still. We'll go over to the gain, and we want down to 2 positions. Peak to peak. Okay. Next we'll go to channel 5. Now we're at channel 3. That's way overdriven. Okay, we'll get this down, set the triggering. Yeah, it looks good. Set the gain. There we go. It looks like my battery's going dead, so might just shut this video off here. So it occurred to me, I recorded a bunch of videos and compiled them, and you guys never actually got to see this thing work. So this here is a Denon. Love these things. Very good quality, high-tech engineering. Anyway, I picked this up at a thrift store for 40 bucks. Came with the remote and the antennas and everything. Now you've seen the video on how I built this. So yeah, I just, I got the idea for this from a Sencor PA-81. And just a couple days ago there was one posted on eBay for $3,500, and I think I've got less than 200 bucks building this one. Anyway, so on the outputs I have speaker protection circuits, so if there's any DC coming out of this, it'll let me know. And then the oscilloscope feeds up to the Ampex. Let's turn that on, and let's see, I'll fire this up. This also has speaker protection terminals. So we got signal on our Velleman on the front two channels. These knobs here pick which channel this is going to watch. And then up here on the scope, let me get the overhead light real quick. So I hooked this up, and there's center channel in channel 1, left rear in channel 2, left front in channel 3, right front in channel 5, right rear in channel 6, and then I'm down here going, what the hell happened to channel 7? And then I realized the subwoofers are usually not powered through the amp, so I'm gonna plug this into the front channel and we'll get something on the scope. And there we go. So, give you an idea how this works. If I go to channel 1 and we turn the sweep rate up, it thins out the audio quite a bit. And if we go over here to the Denon, grab this volume knob, you can see our increase in output voltage. So that's just about peak to peak on the whole screens, and we're at, I'm assuming this is in decibels, -4. I actually got to look this up because that stuff confuses me. All I can tell is it's in logarithmic measurements. So we're -4 decibels and full screen on the scope, so that's 2, 4, 6 volts peak to peak output, and we're at an 8 ohm load. So another thing I might still do is I've got this for a set up for a 8 and 4 ohm dummy load besides the speaker outputs, and I might connect the oscilloscope, this part here, to the front of the input down here, so I can measure any signal coming in on any load, if you follow that. Anyway, that's all I'm going to do on this video. Any questions on this, let me know. Thanks. Bye-bye.